Here is a short wrap-up of the key ideas of yesterday habit system, design habits that create space and not stress discussion. The first one is to focus on systems instead of goals. It's important to have a sense of direction, sure. However, those are the systems, the little things, the little habits that rule our life on a daily basis that will get us to our goals and finally forge our self-image. And once we understand that link, systems, goals, self-image, we understand how fundamental it is to focus on those tiny little habits that we have every day in order to improve our life. We have illustrated this by many examples of barbarian tribes members who have seen their life improved by improving little things in their daily life, changing some little habits. Then, the second key idea, the 3R of habit formation: reminder, routine, reward. Remember this: reminder, routine, reward. We all operate in the same way. Even though we have different habits, we are different from one another, we have different outcomes, but here is the common ground that links every human being: the 3R of habits formation: reminder, routine, reward. The reminder is the cue, the trigger that will trigger specific action, that will initiate a specific action. I go to the supermarket, I get to the cashier, I've bought my apple, I see there a sweet little bar of chocolate. My brain tell me, oh, you deserve this. You had a stressful morning, you walked to come to the supermarket, you deserve eating that bar of chocolate, okay? Tap on the back, be okay with that. Boom. This is my trigger. I see that bar of chocolate just in front of me. Here is what happens in my mind. Here is my reminder, my trigger that I have to routine, extend my arm, grab that chocolate bar and put it on the treadmill. That's it. Okay, so you have the reminder, you have the routine, that is the action performed, and then you have the reward. What happens when you got the reward is that your brain tells you at the supermarket that it's okay. Okay, you have bought your fruit, you have walked to come here, you have done sports yesterday. It's okay, you deserve that little treat. Moreover, when you eat it, boom, you have that good feeling, that sweet on your tongue, and that reward, like chemical reward that are splitting in your brain. So, reminder, routine, reward. This, if you have, we are talking about habits, right? If you have that experiment, if you do that experiment and try to identify on your daily life what are the habits that rule your behaviors, you will see how many of your behaviors, if not all your behaviors, comply to that 3R rule, which is reminder, routine, reward. And this is actually something that I encourage you to do at home and to bring to the surface all those little dynamics that make who you are today. In that second key ID, we went through some examples that I will read you here. You have the end of the day reset. The reminder is shutting down your computer. Your routine is that you write down tomorrow's top 3 priorities on a sticky note. The reward is that you feel that sense of closure. You know, it's easier to disconnect from work in the evening and focus on something else: friends, family, hobbies, some activities. Okay? End of the day reset. Now you have another one, which is the yes reflex. You may have experienced it at work. The reminder is that a colleague asks you for help. The routine, you say yes before even thinking, even if your plate is full. The reward, you have that short-term approval, being seen as helpful and avoiding conflict. However, on the long term, it can bring you fatigue and resentment. But this is the example of the yes reflex. Here is another one. Email is urgency. The reminder is that you get an email notification, pops up on your computer. Routine, you stop what you are doing and check the email instantly. Reward, you have that small dopamine hit from novelty and a feeling of control. I'm on top of things. The fourth one, the hydration habit, my wife's favorite. The reminder, you place a full glass of water on your desk when you sit down in the morning ready to work. The routine is that you take a sip every time you finish a call or send an email. And the reward, you are feeling fresher, less fatigue, and better concentration. The last one, mainly psychological, the negative self-talk loop. Reminder, a task feels difficult. Routine, your automatic inner critic voice pops up. I messed this up, I'm too slow, I can't do it, I won't manage to do it. Okay, reward, the brain clings for certainty. Criticizing yourself feels like taking action, even if it undermines you. Okay, so here you have some examples of habits that are ruling our life. Again, I invite you to scrutinize your life and to take some time every night, for example, before you go to sleep, to identify what are the habits that are ruling your life. What are the positive ones? What are the negative ones? Following that 3R, reminder, routine, reward, loop. Finally, we have seen that in order to implement a new habit, and more importantly, a new habit that will stick, it's important to lesser the friction to the maximum. Because when you implement a new habit, the level of motivation required would be at the top. So it's important to lesser the friction to the minimum so that the level of motivation you would need is not as high as it should be. You understand me? The more the friction, the more the motivation required. So if you can lower the friction, you can as well lower the motivation. This is a key concept. The third key idea that we have to keep in mind is to implement a new habit, we have to lesser the friction to the maximum. So how can we do it? So we took the example of one of our members who committed to come and to attend the training session on Wednesday lunchtime and Friday lunchtime. He even thought he have a quite a demanding work and is not close to the training session or training spot. So the four aspects that we went through using that example is this. We have, in order to make a habit stick, a new healthy habit stick, we have to make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, make it satisfying. Obvious, attractive, easy, satisfying. I'd like you to repeat it after me. Make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. Our goal is to lesser the friction to the maximum. How can I make that habit to go to my training sessions on Wednesday lunchtime obvious, even though I'm at work? The first thing that he did is that you put your sports shoes right on the right of your desk so that you can't escape it. It's obvious. You see your sports shoes. You see that you have to do sports today. Okay. Another example is that all day long he is working with his computer and mobile phone. So what he did is that he pre-scheduled every Wednesday and every Friday his lunchtime workout session so that he can't escape it. He made it obvious. We have another example of another member who, when was working from home on Wednesday or on Friday, she used to work wearing her sports clothes so that there is no way to escape it. It was in the plan. This is in my day. It is obvious that I have to do sports. So make it obvious. The second one is make it attractive. How can we make it attractive? Now I encourage you to think about this. Once it's obvious, how can we make it attractive? Oh, to make it attractive, what he did, for example, is that he put his favorite song on his ears to go to the training session, to take the car, sing along, and come and arrive to the training session and have like a pleasant journey to his training session. How can we make it also attractive? I ask you the question, how could you make your workout or your training session or any new habit that you want to implement attractive? Okay, think about this. So, but we go to the third one, make it easy. Make it easy. How can we make it easy? Here, this is a topic that we'll discuss in a further discussion, conversation together. It's mainly about the environment. Okay, what our member did is that he head up to his car before everybody will stand up and suggest him to go to the restaurant to do this or do that, so that he doesn't have to use any kind of willpower to reject or to find excuses or to say, no, I'm sorry, I don't like to go with you. It's not that I don't love you, but I have to go and do take care of myself. No, again, we are talking about the first month, because when it comes to implementing a new habit, we are talking about month, not days, but month. We are talking about the first month, where the amount of motivation and the friction has to be as low as possible to implement a new habit. Okay, so this is what he did during the first month. So to make it easy, for example, you shape your environment in order to have less friction as possible and to make it easy to go, to make that choice, and to have to head up to your car and to go to your car and to attend the training session which is close by. Okay, so make it easy, make it obvious. Your sports shoes, make it attractive. Your music in the headphone, make it easy. Go before everybody will stand up and suggest you to go to the restaurant and to eat together. Okay, and then make it satisfying. How can we make it satisfying? Again, I ask you to think about this. Whatever habits you want to implement in your life, think about how can you make it satisfying. I mean, sports per se, for members, sports per se is satisfying because you have that shot of hormones after your training session that tells your body that thank you for having done that. Okay, so chemically, this is satisfying. You have satisfaction in your brain. However, some people may find satisfying to go to the gym. Some other member may find satisfying to go and dance. Other people find satisfying to come and meet a lot of people they consider now as friends and being pushed by a trainer and having good music. Okay, so here it's important for you to find your sweet spot, to experiment what works best for you. Okay, so we went through all those different aspects on how to implement successfully a new habit, which is to make it obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying in order to lessen the friction so that we don't require for a lot of time a huge amount of motivation. At a certain point in time, after what I told you, is that a University of Princeton in the UK studied and find out that in general, on average, to implement a new habit is a matter of 66 days, roughly. So it's a matter of month. It is important to know that at some point in your journey, if you have done this long enough, if you have a lesser the friction long enough, if you have made that habit obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying long enough, you won't need that same level of motivation to keep it going. It will become a habit. It will be ingrained in your brain and in your life so that you don't even have to think about it. And this is what we are looking for. So remember, focus on the systems, not rather than on the goals. Okay? Keep in mind the 3 R's of habit formation: reminder, routine, reward. And finally, keep in mind as well. And finally, remember that in order to make a habit successful or make a habit stick, we have to make it obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying. Thank you very much for listening to this wrap up, and I'll see you at our next conference. Have a great day.